The sky above the last human stronghold was unlike any other. It was dark and heavy, filled with clouds of smoke and the distant echoes of war. For years, this place had stood as Earth's final defense against the alien invasion, an impregnable fortress built to protect the last hopes of humanity. But now, as the first beams of alien warships pierced through the atmosphere, that hope was fading fast. The invaders had come with a force unlike anything Earth had ever faced, and the battle was about to change everything. Inside the command center, Captain Jaden Hale stood with his squad, eyes fixed on the endless screen showing the incoming alien fleet. The machines hummed and beeped, sending signals that his team tried desperately to interpret. Outside, the ground shook beneath the relentless bombardment. Explosions lit the horizon like flashes of lightning, and the smell of burning metal filled the air. Yet Jaden's face was calm, his mind sharp despite the chaos. He had trained for this moment his whole life, but nothing could prepare him for the reality of losing everything around him. The fortress walls trembled as the aliens unleashed wave after wave of attacks. Giant ships hovered above their shadows, blotting out the sun. From their massive cannons, beams of pure energy cut through the sky, destroying everything in their path. Human defenses fired back missiles, lasers, and plasma bursts, painting the battlefield with streaks of fire. But it was not enough. The enemy was relentless, their technology superior, their numbers overwhelming. Around Jaden, soldiers fought bravely. Their faces were marked with dirt, sweat, and fear, but also with fierce determination. They knew that this was the last stand. If the fortress fell, Earth's fate would be sealed. Communications crackled with desperate messages from other outposts, but most had already been silenced. This place was humanity's final shield. Suddenly, a deafening explosion rocked the command center. The lights flickered and alarms screamed. Jaden stumbled but caught himself, heart pounding. The alien warships had breached the outer defenses. The walls trembled again as enemy forces poured through gaps in the barrier. Panic threatened to spread, but Jaden shouted orders with steady authority. "Hold your positions. Don't let them through." In the midst of the chaos, Jaden's mind raced. He thought of his family, long gone in the early days of the war. Thought of his friends, many lost in battles like this. Most of all, he thought of survival, of finding a way out of carrying the fight forward beyond this dying place. And then, something unexpected happened. A coded message blinked on his console, an encrypted transmission from deep within the fortress, a secret no one else knew about. Jaden's fingers moved quickly, decoding the message. It was a warning, a last chance to escape, a hidden route out of the fortress, a narrow tunnel used only in the most desperate of times. The message came with instructions and coordinates. The rest of the command team was too focused on the battle to notice, but Jaden knew this was his moment. He grabbed his gear and turned to his squad. "We're getting out," he said firmly. "There's a secret tunnel. If we make it, we can keep fighting. This isn't over." The soldiers exchanged uncertain glances, but they trusted Jaden. They moved swiftly through dark hallways, dodging debris and alien patrols. The fortress was collapsing around them. Fires raged, metal groaned, and distant screams echoed through the tunnels. Every step was a fight against death. As they neared the tunnel entrance, an explosion blew open a nearby wall, sending shards of concrete flying. One of Jaden's squad was hit, collapsing to the ground. Jaden caught him, dragging him to safety despite the burning pain in his leg. The group was smaller now, but they pushed on, driven by a desperate will to survive. Outside, the world was unrecognizable. The sky burned with fire and smoke, and the air was thick with ash. The fortress lay in ruins behind them, a shattered monument to a war humanity was losing. But ahead was the unknown, a vast wilderness filled with danger, but also with hope. Jaden's mind was heavy with questions. Who sent the secret message? Why was this tunnel hidden? And what lay beyond the ruins? As they moved forward, he realized something else. The war was not just about battles and weapons. It was about secrets, betrayals, and the choices of individuals. For Jaden, this escape was not just survival. It was the beginning of a story that would change the course of the war, the future of humanity. Jaden and his small group of survivors moved cautiously through the desolate wasteland beyond the ruined fortress. The air was thick with dust and smoke, making every breath a struggle. Above them, the sky remained dark, the scars of war etched in swirling clouds. Each step forward was a battle against exhaustion, fear, and the unknown. But Jaden knew there was no turning back. Earth was bleeding, but the fight for its future was just beginning. As they traveled, Shdan kept replaying the secret message. In his mind, it spoke of a hidden facility on underground research center, untouched by the alien assault. The scientists there had been working on something powerful, something that could shift the balance of the war. If Jaden could reach them, if he could deliver the information he carried, humanity might have a chance to strike back. The journey was perilous. They had to avoid alien patrols, hostile creatures mutated by the fallout of war, and the harsh elements. Each night they huddled in ruined buildings or caves, sharing stories to keep their spirits alive. Among the group was Amina, a young scientist, whose family had been lost in the initial invasion. Her eyes held both sadness and fierce determination. "Why do you believe we can win?" she asked one evening, her voice barely above a whisper as they sat around a small fire. Jaden looked at her, the flickering flames casting shadows on his face. "Because we have to," he said simply. "Because if we don't, no one else will." Days passed. The survivors drew closer to the coordinates from the secret message. The terrain changed. Barren deserts gave way to thick forests that had miraculously survived the destruction. Signs of life returned. Birds sang hesitantly, and streams trickled through cracked earth. It was a stark contrast to the devastation. Behind them, a reminder that Earth still held hope. Finally, after weeks of travel, they reached the entrance to the underground facility. Hidden beneath layers of rock and reinforced with ancient technology, it was a fortress of knowledge and hope. As they descended into the cold corridors, the faint hum of machines and the glow of monitors welcomed them. Inside, a group of scientists and engineers awaited. They greeted Jaden with relief and urgency. Among them was Dr. Elias Renner, a leading mind who had helped design some of Earth's most advanced weapons. "We didn't expect anyone to make it through," Elias said, his voice steady despite the exhaustion in his eyes. "But you carry what we need." Jaden handed over a small device, the data core he had salvaged from the last bastion. It contained detailed plans, encrypted messages, and intelligence gathered from the front lines. As the scientists plugged it into their systems, screens lit up with new hope. What they discovered was staggering. The war was not just a simple invasion. It was the result of a complex web of secrets and lies stretching across galaxies. The aliens attacking Earth were part of a larger coalition, but the true motive went deeper. Ancient conflicts, rival factions, and hidden technologies had all played a role in dragging Earth into this deadly conflict. Worse, some humans had been working with the enemy, betraying their own species for power and survival. These traitors had sabotaged defenses and leaked critical information, making the war even more brutal. The room fell silent. The truth was heavier than any weapon, but with this knowledge came a plan. The scientists believed that Earth possessed a weapon, unlike any other in ancient technology, buried deep beneath the planet's surface. It was dormant, waiting for the right moment to awaken. They could activate it, they could turn the tide of the war. Jaden listened closely. This weapon was not just physical, it was tied to the very essence of humanity, a power rooted in resilience, unity, and innovation. It was a last hope, but also a risk. Activating it could unleash forces no one fully understood. As the team prepared for the next phase of their fight, Jaden felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. The war had changed forever, and so had he. Outside the facility, the war continued. Alien patrols scoured the lands, searching for any sign of human resistance. But the tide was shifting. News of Jaden's survival and the hidden facility spread through underground networks. sparking hope and resistance across the globe. For the first time in a long time, humanity had a chance not just to survive, but to fight back and reclaim their world. The underground facility buzzed with activity as Jaden and the team worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets hidden within the ancient technology. This weapon of hope, as they called it, was unlike anything humanity had seen before. It was a fusion of old Earth science and alien technology buried deep beneath the planet long before the invasion began. The scientists believed it held the power to shift the war in Earth's favor, but activating it was a complex and dangerous process. Jaden spent long hours in the control room, watching as technicians calibrated the equipment and ran simulations. The air was thick with tension, and every decision felt like a matter of life and death. Outside, the distant rumble of conflict reminded them that time was running out. The aliens were relentless, and their forces showed no signs of slowing. Amina worked alongside Dr. Elias Renner, deciphering ancient scripts and integrating alien technology with human systems. Her fingers moved swiftly across the holographic displays, searching for the precise combination that would unlock the weapon's full potential. Despite the exhaustion in her eyes, she never stopped, driven by the memory of her lost family and the hope for a better future. As days passed, the team made progress. The weapon's core hummed to life, glowing with an eerie blue light. It was as if the planet itself was awakening, responding to the call of its defenders. But with this awakening came new dangers. Alien spies had infiltrated some human settlements, sabotaging efforts and spreading fear. The traitors within had not been idle. One night, alarms blared throughout the facility. The intruders had struck, damaging vital systems and threatening to destroy the weapon before it could be used. Jaden and a team of soldiers rushed to contain the breach, fighting through dark corridors filled with smoke and debris. The battle was brutal, a desperate struggle between hope and destruction. In the chaos, Jaden realized that the weapon's power was not just physical, it was connected to human will, requiring unity and courage to operate fully. If fear and doubt took hold, weapon's energy could become unstable and dangerous. After repelling the attackers, the team worked harder than ever. They knew that the final activation was close, but the cost could be high. The weapon was a double-edged sword, capable of destroying the alien fleet, but also threatening to harm the very planet it sought to save. Despite the risks, humanity had no choice. The war was at a tipping point. The weapon was their last hope. As the activation countdown began, Jaden stood before the console, his heart pounding. Around him were the faces of those who believed in the future, scientists, soldiers, and survivors. They had fought through darkness and betrayal. Now the moment had come. With a deep breath, Jaden pressed the final command. The weapon surged to life, sending waves of energy rippling through the ground and sky. Outside, the alien fleet faltered. As their ships were struck by an invisible force, systems failing one by one, the battlefield changed instantly, shifting in humanity's favor. But the victory was not without cost. The energy released shook the planet, triggering earthquakes and storms. The facility trembled, forcing the team to evacuate quickly. As they emerged into the fresh air, they saw the sky light up with the destruction of the enemy fleet. Humanity had taken the first true step toward domination. The war was far from over, but the balance had shifted. Jaden looked to the horizon, knowing that many challenges still awaited. The aliens would retaliate, and the traitors within would continue to threaten their cause. But with the weapons, power, and the spirit of humanity united, the future was no longer a shadow of defeat. It was a dawn of hope and strength. The moment the ancient weapon unleashed its power, the battlefield changed forever. Alien ships faltered in the void of space, their weapon systems glitching, engines stuttering. The invisible force that surged from Earth was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. It was a power born not only from technology but from the very will of a desperate, determined species fighting to survive. The aliens had underestimated humans, believing their invasion was inevitable and their victory assured. They were wrong, Captain. Jaden Hale stood on the bridge of a newly repaired human command ship. The Defiant, watching the chaos unfold through the wide observation window. The stars beyond were no longer just cold points of light. They were the theater of a war reshaped by humanity's fierce spirit. Around him, the ship's crew worked with urgency, loading through the debris of shattered alien vessels and dodging sudden energy blasts that still echoed the enemy's desperation. Jaden's mind raced. The weapon had turned the tide, but it also revealed the true cost of power. The planet beneath him trembled constantly, and reports of earthquakes and storms were increasing. The weapon's energy was tied to Earth's core, and every pulse threatened to tear at the very fabric of the world they were fighting to save. On board the Defiant, Jaden met with his closest allies, Amina, the brilliant scientist who had helped unlock the weapon's secrets, and Elias Renner, the hardened military strategist. Their faces showed a mix of hope and worry. "We've won the first round," Elias said grimly, "but the aliens won't stop. They'll regroup, and they'll come back stronger." Amina nodded. "And Earth itself is paying a price. We have to find a way to control the weapon's power before it destroys us." Jaden knew they had to act fast. Their next mission was clear. Take the fight directly to the alien fleet's main command center, a colossal space station orbiting a distant moon. Destroying it would cripple the enemy's ability to launch coordinated attacks and give humanity the upper hand. The journey was dangerous. The route was heavily patrolled by enemy warships, and the weapon's unstable energy made navigation unpredictable. Still, the crew of the Defiant was determined. They had tasted victory and refused to give it up. As they approached the enemy stronghold, the battle intensified. Lazian fighters swarmed, laser fire cutting through the void. Human pilots matched them with fierce precision, their skills honed by months of relentless fighting and the newfound hope the weapon had brought. Jaden led the strike squadron himself, his heart pounding as he piloted through enemy fire. Each moment was a test of courage and skill. Behind him, his team followed, trusting his commands and their training. Inside the alien station, chaos reigned. Systems overloaded, alarms blared, and commanders struggled to regain control. The humans had shattered their carefully constructed defense. Explosions rocked the station, sending debris into space. Jaden's squadron pushed deeper, planting explosives at critical points. The mission was a success, but the price was high. Several pilots were lost in the fierce defense, their sacrifice a bitter reminder of the cost of freedom. Back on Earth, people watched the battle through broadcast relays. Children clutched their families, praying for victory. Crowds held their ground, inspired by the courage of those fighting among the stars. Hope bloomed anew. But even as celebrations began, dark clouds gathered. Intelligence reports warned of a new threat to alien reinforcements from distant sectors, more powerful and determined than ever. The war was far from over. Jaden gathered his team, eyes burning with resolve. "We've changed the game," he said. "But this fight will demand everything we have. We must be ready to face whatever comes next." The weapon of hope had shifted. The war, but it had also revealed the depth of the enemy's resolve. The true battle was only beginning, and humanity was ready. The victory over the alien command station brought a rare moment of hope, but shadows lurked closer than anyone realized. Deep within Earth's own ranks, a threat had grown betrayal. It was a truth too painful to accept. Some humans had sided with the alien invaders, working against their own people. The war was not only being fought in the stars, but in the hearts and minds of humanity itself. Captain Jaden Hale felt the weight of this new battle pressing on him. The hidden traitors were like ghosts, slipping through secure lines and sabotaging efforts from within. Intelligence reports showed sabotage of supply routes, leaked strategies, and even assassination attempts on key leaders. Trust was breaking down, and paranoia spread like wildfire. Jaden gathered his closest allies in a dimly lit war room beneath the city's rebuilt command center. The faces around the table were grim: Amina, Dr. Elias Renner, and a handful of trusted soldiers, and scientists who had proven their loyalty. Together, they faced a chilling reality. "We're fighting two wars," Elias said quietly. One against the aliens outside, and one inside our own ranks. Amina nodded, her eyes dark with worry. The traitors know about the weapon. They can sabotage it, we could lose everything. Jaden's jaw clenched. We can't let that happen. We have to root them out, no matter the cost. The hunt for traitors began immediately. Security tightened at every level. Surveillance increased, and trusted agents infiltrated suspected cells. But the enemy was cunning, hiding behind false identities and playing on old fears and resentments. One night, a coded message was intercepted, a warning from a traitor deep inside the scientific community. They planned to disable the weapons core during the next activation, hoping to destroy the facility and kill everyone inside. Jaden and his team moved swiftly. They organized a covert operation to protect the weapon and expose the traitors. Before they could strike, the tension was suffocating. Every shadow seemed a threat, every ally a possible enemy. As the day of the weapon's next activation approached, paranoia peaked. The team doubled their efforts, securing the facility. With new defenses and running constant patrols, Jaden took no chances. He led a small squad to patrol the perimeter, knowing that the traitors could strike at any moment. In the dark corridors of the underground base, the atmosphere was thick with fear and suspicion. Every sound echoed like a warning. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the facility. Saboteurs had struck. Jaden's squad rushed toward the blast, weapons ready. They found damaged equipment, sparks flying, and alarms blaring. But worse, a shadow slipped away into the darkness, escaping capture. The attack was a wake-up call. The traitors were closer than ever, and their plans more desperate. Jaden knew they had to act fast before the war's greatest weapon was lost. Working tirelessly, the team repaired the damage and reinforced defenses. They set traps and laid out plans to catch the saboteurs in the act. Days turned into restless nights as the fight against betrayal became a deadly game of cat and mouse in a tense confrontation. Jaden finally cornered one of the traitors, a scientist he had once trusted. The betrayal cut deep, but there was no room for mercy. The traitor confessed to working with the aliens, revealing secrets that shocked the team. The war was more complicated than anyone had imagined. It was not just a fight for survival, but a battle for the soul of humanity. Despite the pain and loss, the team remained united. They had to be. The final battle was looming, and Earth's fate depended on their strength and trust. Jaden looked at his team and spoke with fierce determination. We will not let betrayal destroy us. We will stand together, stronger than ever, and finish this war. For Earth, for all of us. The war had entered its darkest phase. Humanity's fire burned brighter than ever. The final battle was upon them. After months of struggle, betrayal, and sacrifice, Earth's forces stood ready to face the alien coalition and the traitors within. The air was thick with tension, and every soldier, scientist, and survivor felt the weight of what was to come. This was not just a fight for survival, it was a fight for the future of humanity and the very soul of their world. Captain Jaden Hale stood at the forefront, his eyes scanning the horizon as the massive alien fleet approached. The sky burned. With the glow of warships and weapons, a deadly dance of light and shadow that stretched across the stars. Behind him, the ancient weapon thrummed steadily, its power now controlled and harnessed by human hands, ready to unleash devastation on those who dared threaten Earth. The ground forces prepared for the assault, while the fleets of human ships moved in formation, a silent promise of resistance and hope. The traitors, some captured and some still hiding, had been rooted out or neutralized, but their betrayal had left scars. Trust had been tested, and only those proven loyal remained. As the battle began, explosions rocked the land and sky. Alien ships fired relentlessly, but human defenses held strong. The weapons sent waves of energy pulsing through space, disabling enemy vessels and breaking their formations. The fight was brutal, with losses on both sides, but humanity fought. With unmatched courage, Jaden led a daring strike team deep into the enemy's flagship, a towering vessel bristling with weapons and defenses. The corridors were dark and filled with danger, But the team pushed forward, knowing that destroying the command core would end the war. Inside, they faced fierce resistance, alien soldiers and automated defenses designed to protect the heart of the fleet. The battle was intense, every moment a fight for life and death. Jaden's leadership kept the team together, inspiring them to push past fear and exhaustion. At last, they reached the core. Jaden planted the explosives, setting the countdown with steady hands. As they fought their way back out, the ship began to shake violently. The explosion ripped through the flagship, sending shockwaves that disabled the remaining alien vessels outside. The surviving enemy ships retreated, their forces broken, and leadership destroyed. The war was over. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted. People danced in the streets, tears of joy and relief flowing freely. The planet had been scarred, but it was alive, stronger, and united like never before. In the days that followed, humanity began to rebuild. The ancient weapon was studied carefully, its power respected and controlled. Alliances were formed with other alien races who had watched the war from afar. Inspired by humanity's courage, Jaden stood among the crowds, a hero not just for his bravery, but for his unwavering hope and belief in humanity's future. He knew the cost of war, the friends lost, the homes destroyed, but he also saw the promise of a new era. The galaxy had changed forever, and Earth had claimed its place among the stars. No longer mocked or dismissed, humanity was a force to be reckoned with. And it all began with one human's escape.